given the constitutional role of the media as watchdogs, transparency, keep track of government, ought government to be engaging the media at all?
We all know the role. Let me say good evening to the viewers. We all know the role that communications plays in terms of dissemination of government policy and informing, instructing, and educating the populace about what is going on. So communications is key in any government's agenda. And to that extent, the media practitioners would also be key stakeholders that the governments, all serious governments, would engage with. Let me just give the example of Rupert Murdoch, News of the World owner, until, News Corp owner. I mean, it's a huge conglomerate. Yes. They own half the newspapers in most of the countries of the world.
Cable TV.
And they're bidding to buy BSkyB, I believe. The major, I think they're the largest single shareholder of BSkyB.
They pull out from that.
Yeah.
After the scandal, the phone hacking scandal.
But before the phone hacking scandal, he was being courted by kings and priests and princes and heads of state around the world. Yeah. I mean, it was like they were all bowing down to him and kowtowing him because of the power of the media empire that he had. So that just gives one an idea of the immense reach that the media has. And so most governments would necessarily seek to be on the good side of the media, unlike the NDC government, which was the aberration in terms of the way they hounded the media. PNDC, NDC 1, 2, and the uncomfortable relationship they appear to have with the media in PNDC and NDC 3. Unless you speak positively of the government, then you are in bed with the opposition. That's the NDC terminology of a friendly media, a media which is always singing its praises, licking its boots, and spewing out its version of propaganda. So,
the inflated version, of course.
Well,
the cow, the sheep to cow version.
I'm getting there. So I'm not surprised that PV Obeng, who is one of the leading members of the he was PNDC. PNDC, P in brackets, NDC. Yeah, I think that explains it all. Would send a memo to the government to take steps to actively court the media because they were such an important estate. Now, from informing them about the need to court the media, I'm not surprised that they would take certain extreme steps, such as seeking to subvert the work of professional journalists by offering them inducements. We've all heard about the Maslow cars, which have been spread like confetti to spokespersons, analysts, and some friendly media personnel of the government. Those cars, incidentally, I have been informed with, were meant for health workers and teachers, but they've ended up being distributed to social commentators and dubious aides. They don't call them special assistants anymore. They call them special aides.
They demonize special assistants.
Yeah. They demonize special and think that by changing the nomenclature, that makes it okay. I'll come to that in a bit. The NDC appears to have a likeness for renaming and bastardizing everything. So it is important that the government has a communication strategy, which is kosher, above board, seeks to engage positively with the media and encourage them to report matters as accurately as they can without slanting it in one way or the other. But if you have a strategy which is based on deception and lies, then one just wonders exactly where that is leading this whole country, because it is important that we give the citizenry accurate information about what is going on. Not in Baba Jamal's words, to do everything to paint the government in a good light, whether it is good or bad. If you hear any negative information, to hide it, suppress it, and seek ways of massaging it before putting it out in the public domain. I don't know how anybody can wish away such a serious statement by saying that it was a joke. What do they take all of us for? I mean, I was astounded when I heard that that was his defense. Yes, I said it, but I was joking. Deputy Minister of a ministry as key as information, telling us that as part of his working tour of the country, he went around telling every information service officer in this country. So he kept repeating this sick joke everywhere he went to. I leave that to Ghanaians to judge. If indeed we pay our public officials to go and be jaguar jokers instead of doing serious business with the taxpayers' money and time. And I think that this attempt to downplay this incident is an affront to the intelligence of Ghanaians. And to think that we will be gullible enough to believe what they're saying, I think the effrontery, the gall with which they're spreading this, you have to admire their audacity. They probably think that if they say it often enough and vociferously and loudly enough, people will believe it. But then look at the import of what has said. A Deputy Minister of State goes around telling information officers around the country that, hey, your duty is to project only the positives about the government. With all due respect, that is not the mandate of the information officers. They are supposed to present accurate information about what goes on in terms of government policy to the country, good or bad. If it is good, inform the people. If it is not so good, inform the people so that collectively we can work to see how we can improve governance, the delivery of governance to the people. Yeah. But if you tell them to lie, to embellish the truth, to twist facts to suit a predetermined agenda of painting the government in a positive light with an eye to the 2012 elections, what are you doing? How then can we trust any information put out by the government machinery? So I said on another forum that it lends credence to my rechristening the ministry as a Ministry of Misinformation and Lies of the National Deception Congress.